I'm Alex Rogeo for MoparMax magazine, and today I'm here with Pro Stock driver Vincent Nobile. How are you feeling today, Vincent?
I'm feeling great today. You know, here in Vegas, weather's beautiful and looking forward to a great weekend.
And you got your first run of the weekend coming up soon, right? Excited?
Coming up shortly, yeah. 1:30. It's just a few minutes away here.
All right, then let's start with the beginning of your Pro Stock career. You started driving in 2011, and you have won 8 out of your 13 final rounds, which is a pretty impressive record.
Yeah, you know it is, but that's not due to me, that's due to my team. I got a great team. Like I always say, this is a team sport. Everybody gives the driver the credit, but to be honest, I couldn't do it without any one of my guys. They get the car down the track for me. They supply me with a fast, consistent race car, and that's honestly what wins races. Absolutely,
that's extremely important, and I like that you give credit to your team. That's a very good quality in a driver that not everyone has that. So you're almost 22, right? Almost. But you started racing much younger. You did junior dragster racing, right?
Correct.
How old were you when you started juniors?
When I started juniors, I was 8 years old, because I believe that's how old you have to be when you get your junior dragster license. But even before that, I've been involved with drag racing my whole life since I've been in diapers, watching my dad drag race Pro Stock. Yeah, the first time I actually got into a race car was a junior dragster at the age of 8.
So how long did you do juniors? How many years?
I did junior dragsters for about 2 years, and very seldom, to be honest, because my dad was always away racing, and he was obviously the person that would take me to the races, and I had no one else to take me. Plus, I always wanted to go with him and watch him race his Pro Stock car, so I only got to do it a few times, but it was a cool experience. I had a lot of fun with it.
So did you do any other types of racing? Did you, bracket racing, test and tune racing with your street car, anything like that?
You know, ever since the junior dragster, like I said, I did it for 2 years, and then, like I said, had no time for it. So I went racing with my dad, and the next thing I got into was a Pro Stock car. I told my dad, this was all my dad's idea, to be honest. I was like, Dad, I want to get into like a super stocker and make some laps in that. And he's like, you know what? I want you racing Pro Stock. I'm going to teach you how to drive a Pro Stock car, and we're just going to get straight into it. So that's kind of what happened. I was 17 years old, and I started making runs and getting my Pro Stock license.
Okay, so your first professional season was when you were 19, right? But you actually started 2 years before that getting practice?
Yeah, correct. I got my license at the age of 17. But you can't race a national event until you're 18. So I had my license ready, and then once I turned 18, I got in the car, and I believe I made my first national event when I was 19, and that's when it all started.
So during the time that you didn't do juniors, and between the time that you started Pro Stock at 17, were you sort of out of racing? Were you spending most of your time watching your dad race, being with him at the track? You weren't really doing any of your own racing between that time, right?
As for driving, I wasn't doing anything. Honestly, I didn't even have a driver's license at the time, because back where I live in New York, you get a driver's license at the age of 17. So I kind of got my driver's license and my Pro Stock license at the same time, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I didn't really do much racing myself, but I was there every week, and my dad was driving the car, and honestly, that's probably the best thing I could have done, was just watch him make laps, because like I tell everybody, I got in the car at 17 and was able to make a pass due to watching my dad. I made a million runs in my head before I actually got in the car, so I kind of knew what to expect.
Wow, that's really important. So watching your dad was sort of like half of the training that you needed to drive. Without
a doubt, 100%. And if I were to teach someone how to drive a Pro Stock car, I'd tell them, you need to come watch me make a run every weekend and just run it through your head, what actually happens. Just like shifting the car, whatever you do with the clutch, staging, and all that stuff, you just run it through your head, and when you watch the person go down the track, it's like in the car, you know what to expect.
So I've heard a lot about called chair flying, which is sort of like visualization. So I've heard that from Frank Hawley, that almost all of the pro drivers use that tool to help them become better drivers. So do you use that as well? Do you practice your run in your head before you actually get on the track?
Without a doubt, that's 100% correct. And even more so when I was getting my license. Actually, I remember very vividly the night before I was about to make my first run in a pro stock car. I could not even sleep because I was just thinking about what I had to do in that race car. And I was in my bed that night, and I probably went through it a million times, every single step, so I was ready for the next day. So you're exactly right.
Okay, yeah, because I know from hearing people describe it, the procedures are, you have to do them so precisely and perfectly every time, otherwise it's not going to work. You do one thing wrong and the run's blown.
Exactly. In pro stock, everything's so critical. Like you see, we run within a thousandth of a second, and if you're just that little bit off, you're going to mess up that run just that little bit. But as you make runs, the more and more you do it, it's just like anything else. It comes accustomed to you. You almost don't even think about it anymore. It's just in rhythm almost.
You played baseball when you were in high school. Do you think that the competitive nature of a sport that's not drag racing has helped you become a better driver?
I think so. It definitely helps because baseball is a very athletic sport, as you say, and it helps with reaction time, I think. I played middle infield, and as a lot of people who follow baseball know, that's probably one of the harder positions to play, and you need to be on your toes, and that's what drag racing is. You got to be on your toes, you got to be ready for anything, and that baseball comes at you pretty quick, just like that Christmas tree. So I think it's helping with my reaction time. Kind of miss playing baseball, but I think I chose racing over it, and happy with my choice. So
how long did you play baseball? You were on the varsity team, right?
Correct. I played baseball ever since the Little League till senior year in high school. I was a 3-year varsity baseball player on my high school team. And like I said, I was a shortstop and second baseman. And then college came, and I got this opportunity to drive a race car, and I said, you know what? I only have so much time in my day, and I chose to go racing instead of play baseball at school.
Before racing came along, did you want to be a professional baseball player? Was that your dream?
When I was little, during like Little League years, Derek Jeter was my idol. And then as I grew up, as I watched my dad drag race, I kind of changed my mind. I wanted to be a drag racer at that point. And, you know, I still played baseball. I definitely lost the passion, but that passion went towards drag racing. And as you can see, here I am now with the decision I made. So, yeah, drag racing's pretty much my life.
So your dad was a pro stock racer. How long did he race? How many races did he do? Give us a little information about that.
My dad raced for as long as I know anyways. I don't know the exact years he raced, but he's had a pro stock car, like I said, since I've been in diapers. He raced a lot in IHRA, which is a Mountain Motor Pro Stock, and he raced a bunch in NHRA. He just never had the funding to really prove himself. I learned so much from my dad racing, and I know he's very talented. And in 2004, he won a IHRA Pro Stock World Championship, and that's definitely one of our highlights as a father and son, without a doubt, because I got to experience that with him. So just be able to race with him all those years is pretty cool.
And he must be incredibly proud of you. I mean, after you following in his footsteps in pro stock, what did he say to you when you won your first national?
Anybody who knows my dad knows he's one of the proudest fathers out there, and you know what? That's why I love him. I owe it all to him. He taught me everything I know, and honestly, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even be here, to be honest. But that first one, I remember like it was yesterday. Houston, I won the race by, I think, 0.02 of a second against Roger Brogdon in a hole shot. It was just dream come true. I couldn't write it any better. Anyways, I'm top end. They hand me the lolly, and I'm good. I'm composed. And then I see my dad coming, and I literally just lost it. I started crying. I started crying until I made it to the winner's circle, which was like a half hour later. I just couldn't contain myself. I don't know what it was. It was just, my dad wanted to win an NHRA race his whole life. And like I said, never had the money to be able to to do it. And when I did it, I felt that we did it together, and it was a pretty amazing moment.
So, is it sometimes difficult or odd having your dad be part of the crew on your team? I mean, does he offer you as much critique and tips and criticism and ways to improve as much as possible?
He does. You know, I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I wouldn't want it any other way, to be honest. Like I said, if it wasn't for my dad, I wouldn't be here. So I owe it all to him, and we're out here having fun together. And that's what the best part about it is. We're a pretty family-oriented team, and unlike all these other teams, this is pretty much a business for them. We're out here having fun, and having my dad out here definitely makes it a whole lot more fun.
You mentioned the family business. You drive for Mountain View Racing, and they are owned by a family, the Mitzos. What's it been like driving for them?
Well, honestly, I owe it a lot to the Mitzos family and Mountain View Tire, because if it was not for them, I wouldn't have this ride. It was over the winter when they called my dad 3 years ago now. They actually asked my father if I would drive their race car for them. And the story behind that is, I was upstairs in my bedroom doing homework for college, and my dad calls me downstairs. I'm like, oh geez, what did I do now? Am I in trouble or something? So I walk downstairs, and he says, I gotta ask you something. I was like, oh geez, my stomach dropped. I was like, oh my god, I don't think I did anything wrong. So anyways, he goes on to tell me, Nick Mitzos just called me and wants you to drive his race car next year. And I was like, yeah, of course. I mean, why not? Why wouldn't I want to do that? So that's how it all started. The Mitzos family, like I said, is definitely great family-oriented people, and I wouldn't ask to have a better team owner, honestly.
Yeah, I can tell you that I've had a little experience working with the Mitzos. We have brought our car to Mountain View Performance in Rancho Cucamonga, and when we brought our car into them, it was all over the place. It was inconsistent, it wouldn't hook, it was making moves left to right at the end of the track. It was actually a little scary to drive, and when I gave the car to them, I could just tell by the facility. It's like this immaculate place. There's a Zamboni that cleans the floor every morning. I mean, it's incredible. And when I got the car back, it was like, it was consistent. It leapt off the line. My 60 foots are perfect. I was able to cut Vincent Nobile style lights in it, you know, it's what people don't realize is that Mountain View Performance isn't just for pro racers. They do a lot of work with sportsman racers,
Exactly.
and that's really, really important.
I've been to their shop as well, obviously, and like you said, it's immaculate. It's just like a top-notch organization. The people that they got working for them, Dave Beckley specifically, he's just got so much knowledge in his head. He could tell you anything and teach you anything, and he's the guy you want working on your car for sure.
Absolutely. I have complete confidence when I bring my car there that it's going to be done perfectly. Everything's going to be done right.
That's their goal.
Okay, you are in college. Where are you? Are you a senior? What's your status right now? Senior. Okay. And what's your major?
Business management.
So, what are your plans when you're done college? Are you planning on using your degree? Are you going to go into business? Do you plan? Basically, what are your plans and goals in life outside of driving?
Well, my goal is to race for as long as I can, to be honest, because as everybody knows, you could only do this sport for so long. You got to bring in the young guns, as you could see, and your time's kind of limited with drag racing. So I'm going to try and ride that wave as long as I can. But with the business aspect of my life, my dad owns a trucking company back at home, and we do some other things business-wise. So I'm not necessarily going to go out and go look for a job, but me and my dad work together. And that's pretty much my game plan, is just to work with my dad with his business, maybe expand it a little bit.
Okay. So do you ever see yourself becoming a team owner one day of a race team?
I mean, you never know. Right now I'm going to stick to driving, but hey, if the sponsorships come and Nick Mitzos and the Mountain View crew doesn't want to do it anymore, that'll leave me by myself and I'll have to go do it. But from what I understand, the Mitsoses are here for a little while.
So I'm curious, when you go to college in New York, right? Do people recognize you from being on TV, or is your school not really a motorsports oriented community?
You know what, New York, there's no tracks on Long Island where I live. So honestly, and especially in our era today, kids don't really get into cars or drag racing. They're into video games and whatnot. Not me, as you can see. But there's very few people that recognize me at school. Just for the fact that there's no tracks on Long Island, I'd imagine. But I tell my professors what I do just because I have to miss some classes once in a while. And some of them understand, some of them don't understand, but I always try and make them watch it on television to understand what I actually do. And actually, I have a funny story. It was the first year racing. I had to miss my accounting class, and he was giving me a hard time for going away to races. I was like, listen, you don't understand what I do. I'm not just taking my car out and going hanging out with my friends. This is a professional sport. So I said, listen, you have to watch it on television this weekend. You give me homework, I'm giving you homework for once. So it's actually the weekend in Houston. And as you know, I won that race. So he got to see me win. He got to see me go 4 rounds, and he never gave me a hard time ever again. He was totally impressed, and he actually became a big fan of mine. He emails me every time I win a race, so I kind of changed his mind on things.
My gosh, that's an incredible story. Did any of your other teachers have a similar experience?
The following year, I had a same kind of run-in with my statistics teacher, but he was really cool about it. He wasn't really giving me a hard time. He just didn't know what drag racing was. But I got him to watch it, and he saw me win a race as well. So he became a fan. I had to bring them t-shirts and whatnot. He's emailing me all the time as well. So it's cool. I get support at school.
This year has been a little bit of a struggle compared to your first 2 years, which were really, really solid. How are you dealing with that as a driver?
You know, we did struggle this year. We still got 3 wins so far with 2 races left, and obviously we're out of the chase, but our goal is to get those 2 other Wallies and bring them home with us. But yeah, it's tough as a driver to struggle, especially during the countdown. We went into the countdown 4th in points, and I was totally confident. I was like, you know what, this is our year, we're gonna do this. And we just fell onto some hardships right at the wrong time. But it happens, everybody has their year, and I'm already looking forward to next year and turning things around.
This year, your reaction times have been a little bit inconsistent race to race compared to the first 2 years where you quickly gained a reputation as a driver that cuts killer lights all the time. I know that in racing, the reaction time is part driver, but part car, and a lot of people don't quite realize how much of the car is involved in that. What has been the reason for this inconsistency? Is it you? Is it the car? Is it a combination of things?
Like you said, it's definitely a combination of things. I've been up there a few times, and I've told my guys, oh wow, I was late, that was all my fault. Can't be the car. I know I was a little tardy on the tree that time. But then there's times I'm up there and I'm like, I'm 000. I get to the time slip and there's a 46 on the slip. I'm like, I don't know, guys, I was on it. So it's a lot to do with the car setup. We've found that out. It's pretty obvious. But as any person, no one's perfect. I know my reaction times were pretty great last year and the year before, but I think as a driver I got a lot more comfortable in the car, which might have hurt me a little bit, honestly, just because you're a little bit more relaxed. And with reaction time, I think if you're a little bit more pumped up, you might be a little bit better. So I could work on a few things myself, but I think we also need to get the car to react just a little bit better in that first 13 inches is where we're losing it. But it's all good. Like I said, next year is going to be a whole new year, and I'm ready for it.
So do you, I know for myself, I spend time practicing on my practice tree. Do you have I have an app on my phone. It's a JAGS app. I don't know if you use that one. Do you have a real size tree that you practice with at home?
I do have a tree, and actually over the winter I'm going to try and build a little simulator seat. I have one now. I really don't like using it only because it doesn't feel right to me. It's nothing like the race car, so I'm going to maybe try and build one that feels more like the race car, how the clutch actually feels. But I have that JEGS app. I use it all the time. Every flight I'm on, I get bored and I'm practicing on the tree on there, so I'm always using it.
So far, what has been your favorite memory in your racing career?
I think I have two favorite memories. I can't pick them because they're just so close. The first one being my first win at Houston, just being so emotional. Like I said, I could not stop crying after I won that race. I'm asking my crew, like, why can I not stop crying? They're like, you just won your first ever race, it's okay. I didn't want to hear it. I just wanted to stop crying, but I couldn't. But anyways, my next favorite, probably ties it, was Norwalk last year, doubling up with the K&N shootout and winning the race in the same weekend. You know, not many people have done that, and me and my team did that our first year in the countdown. Not in the countdown, I'm sorry, in the K&N shootout. We qualified, I believe, 7th for it, 7th or 6th, and had to race Alan Johnson first round, I believe, our teammate. And that was a cool race because we both shook and had to pedal it to get down the track. So that was a cool deal. And then going on to Sunday, race day, and winning that race and doubling up, just truly amazing. Never in a million years would I have thought I could even win the K&N shootout, but then win the race on the same weekend. So it was pretty awesome.
So after you're done school, how is that going to change your driving career? I mean, what's going to happen when you don't have to go to school anymore? Are you going to be able to do more public appearances? What does the future look like after graduation?
I'm definitely going to have a whole lot more time on my hands, so I'll be able to go to more appearances and hopefully test the race car, honestly. That's one of our things with our team. With me, my schedule with school, on top of the Mitsoses with their business, they have obligations that they need to go home and do things to keep the business running, and that's what makes this operation work, is Mountain View Tires. So that's pretty much most important. But maybe next year, with me not being in school and having a little bit more time in my hands, we could test the race car and maybe not fall onto these hardships that we had this year.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time, Vincent. I'm extremely excited for you, and I really wish you the best and good luck this weekend in Pomona.
Thank you.
Sure.
Appreciate it.